June 6, 1944. American forces begin landing on Omaha Beach in Normandy. It is the bloodiest landing sector. Nearly 2,400 American soldiers are killed in just one day. The German resistance proves to be far stronger than the Allies expected. The 352nd Infantry Division, fortified bunkers, interlocking machine gun fire, and 5 narrow exits off the beach turn into deadly traps. Allied intelligence failed to detect the division's transfer to the coast just weeks before the invasion, and now the first assault waves are paying for that mistake with their lives. The first American assault troops are literally cut to pieces at the waterline. Landing craft open their ramps directly in front of German machine gun nests, and entire platoons are wiped out before taking even 10 steps onto the sand. Heavy equipment drags men to the bottom before they even reach shore, while those who do make it onto the beach find themselves on open sand without a single piece of cover for hundreds of meters. Many units cannot withstand the German resistance. The Sherman tanks that were supposed to support the infantry almost all sink before reaching the beach. They are launched too far offshore in rough seas, and most of the vehicles disappear beneath the waves, along with their crews. Out of more than 30 tanks in the first wave, only a handful reach the beach. Then, in the third wave, an impossible factor appears. A group of 180 United States Marines, along with a single M1A2 Abrams tank. None of the soldiers around them understand what they are seeing. The vehicle is too large, too quiet for its size, and moves forward with complete confidence where dozens of Shermans had already been destroyed. The shape of its turret, the smooth gun barrel without a muzzle brake, the absence of riveted seams on its armor. It all looks as if the machine has come from another era. And in fact, it has. Unlike the old Sherman tanks, the modern American Abrams reaches the shore successfully, never losing momentum, even on soft sand and through shell craters. German machine guns immediately open fire on it, but they pose absolutely no threat. The composite armor barely notices the MG-42 bullets. The gunners inside the bunkers frantically switch to armor-piercing ammunition, but that changes nothing. One after another, German machine gunners empty entire belts into a vehicle that never even slows down. And gradually, their fire turns from a military tactic into pure desperation. The Marines use the tank as a moving shield and for the first time cross the most dangerous section of the beach with almost no casualties. They stay close behind the rear of the tank, crouching low and using its massive hull as protection from the machine gun fire that had been mowing down entire companies only moments before. For the first time that morning, this part of the beach sees real forward movement instead of soldiers crawling sideways or backward in search of cover. Marines who had been pinned to the ground under relentless fire just 10 minutes earlier now sprint from crater to crater, protected by the armored hull like a moving wall. Then the Abrams fires its first precise shot from its 120mm gun. The first German strongpoint is blown apart, opening a route through a sector that had held firm all morning. The concrete firing slit that had seemed completely impregnable disappears in a cloud of dust and debris in a single instant. Its thermal sight allows the gunner to identify every enemy firing position long before it can be spotted with the naked eye. The second, third, and fourth rounds all hit their targets, one after another, without ranging shots, without misses, a luxury that no Allied gun on this beach had before noon. The Germans quickly realize that conventional weapons cannot stop this tank, so they call in artillery. The crew of the famous German 88mm gun manages to fire only one shot. The shell strikes the frontal armor directly and ricochets away. Even the legendary German 88mm gun cannot penetrate the Abrams armor, and its crew is destroyed by a return shot. German officers at the command post higher up the slope send confused messages to divisional headquarters, asking what kind of weapon the Americans have brought ashore, if an 88mm gun, capable of destroying any tank on the Eastern Front, cannot even leave a dent in its armor. There is no answer to that question in any German manual on enemy equipment. One by one, the deadliest German bunkers fall silent, including the positions that, in real history, caused thousands of casualties. The machine gun positions covering exit WN-62, one of the strongest defensive points on all of Omaha Beach, disappear one after another. Mortar positions farther inland, which had been bombarding the beach with impunity, are detected through the thermal sight and destroyed before they can fire more than a couple of volleys. Yet even one tank is still not enough. It cannot climb the heights on its own. The steep slope and the minefields leave it no chance of advancing beyond the shoreline. The Marines still have to storm the trenches and fortifications on foot, suffering casualties in close combat. Grenades, bayonets, hand-to-hand fighting in narrow communication trenches. The technology of the 21st century does not eliminate the ugliest part of war. The tank remains at the base of the slope, continuing to provide fire support by destroying positions the infantry cannot reach on its own. But the trenches connecting the German positions still have to be cleared manually, step by step, bunker by bunker. It is here that most of the few Marines from the group who do not survive the day are killed. After the heights are captured, the first fully secured exit from the beach is opened, and vehicles begin moving inland across France much earlier than they did in real history. Jeeps and trucks that historically remained stranded on the sand until evening are already advancing inland by noon. Combat engineers, who in reality had been pinned down by German defenses until late in the day, finally gained the opportunity to clear paths through the minefields and remove obstacles blocking the road inland. But the entire effect of this American force is concentrated on only one section of the beach. Omaha stretches for 5 miles along the coastline. Unfortunately for the Americans, in the neighboring sectors, the battle unfolds exactly as it did in real history. Men continue to die. In the Fox Green and Easy Red sectors, assault troops are still pinned down at the water's edge under relentless fire, and no Abrams comes to save them. In the Dog White and Charlie sectors, nothing differs from the history books. The same interlocking machine gun fire, the same minutes stretched into an eternity for the survivors, the same feeling that help will never arrive. The radio operators in those sectors have no idea that something impossible is happening just a couple of kilometers to the west. To them, the morning of June 6 looks exactly as history recorded it: chaos, casualties, and hopelessness. The main conclusion is this: even technology decades ahead of its time can only change the section of the battlefield where it actually stands. In the Dog Green sector, many soldiers who historically died within the first minutes of the battle survive. For the town of Bedford, which lost dozens of young men on Omaha Beach, this means saved lives, families, and futures. The small Virginia town that, in real history, suffered the highest per capita losses of any community in America, loses far fewer of its sons in this version of events. The letters that, in reality, arrived as notifications of death are never written. But just a few kilometers farther east, the tragedy continues almost unchanged. The same 5-mile beach, the same division, the same artillery, just a little farther from the one place where the future intervened. The overall casualty statistics for the division change very little. One tank saves one sector, but the total losses on Omaha are reduced by only a small fraction compared to real history. Yes, a single Abrams tank can completely change the fate of one sector and hundreds of people, saving their lives, their families, and their futures. But it cannot save the entire beach, the entire operation, or the entire Second World War.